And welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those lovely duct tapes from times gone by. The last duct tape was actually the first duct tape that Vortex ever made, the Spanish edition. It's really good. I love it. It's one of my favorites. It is one of my favorites, but enough about that, because we are here with some StarCraft with the semifinals, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, he just 2-0'd Creator. It is the South Korean Terran representing Team Abydos. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Z Gaming, DKZG. It is Dark. Oh, going for a pool first opener. Interesting. So Dark going to be a little bit cheeky here to kick things off. The goal of this, of course, is you make a handful of lings, especially if your opponent doesn't SCV scout. It's designed to punish, an opponent for not SCV scouting. You get your lings across the map and you delay the CC and you try and cause a little bit of havoc just to get an early lead at the start of the game. And I think this is smart because Cure has been known to skip SCV scouting in TVZ. I feel like more often than not, when I say more often than not, like maybe 70%, like 70% of the time, the Cure doesn't go for that scout. So we'll see if he does end up going for it or if he waits for his Reaper. Ooh. As yeah, here we go. His SCV is going to be rushing across now. We have 6 lings on the way here, but we'll see if Dark can avoid this SCV and try and catch his opponent unawares. CC, of course, is on the low ground, and things are about to be popping off. The other thing that I was about to talk about, as the lings are going to make their way across the map, is that we also found out the origin of Cure's team name. In game is still Club NV. Oh, as the lings are slipping on out, but we're gonna see the timing of the hatchery, so we know about the pool first. Anyway, only 2 lings are revealed, so Cure may think that it's a very low commitment, but regardless, 3 are staying at home. So these lings will have a hard time coming in. The Overlord sees the Reaper, so it's very possible that Dark isn't going to commit, and he's going to keep his lings out here until he sees an opening. Yeah, he's just gonna be chilling here and wait. Oh, here we go. The Reaper moves out. As the Reaper moves out, the lings move in. Oh, but the Cure comes back. Oh my god, the mind games, puppy. Cure knows that the Overlord was looking at him, so he fakes it. He looks as if he does move out across the map, and he catches the lings in the end. Nice moves here from Cure, very high level stuff. 2 lings still got in though, and we do still get a small delay on this building CC, but it could have been a lot worse. Oh. As behind this, what's important, the Reaper stayed at home, so likewise, Dark is taking advantage of the fact that Cure was stuck defending. A Roach Warren is thrown down. Very committed here from Dark. The Roaches do get spotted by Cure, but this is a late scout. The Roach is already rushing across the map, and Cure, he has to defend the main. We are going to be giving up on the natural. SCVs are going to be main-arded a little bit later on once we do regain control of the natural base, and Cure is going to be stuck on 1 base economy until he at least gets this Cyclone out. Thankfully, he did open up with a 1-1-1, not a 3cc before starport. Otherwise, he'd have a bit of a harder time cleaning this up and counterattacking. He did play this out safe and sound, though. The wall is a wall. The deepers are being focused down. The bunker is full, and here comes the Cyclone. Gets a nice lock-on on that Overlord as well, and should be able to deny high ground vision, not before losing a depot. There we go. Cure does end up defending in the end. There is a salvage. What's important is that because Cure prioritized that medevac, he's going to be rushing across the map as soon as possible. Gets a nice lock-on on a Roach as well. Oh, the lock-on does break, so he doesn't quite get it, but regardless. Oh, Cure even getting a lock-on on the Ravager. Up. Everything gets cleaned up. Not just that, but the Cyclone survives, and now Cure has the momentum. He's going to be rushing across the map, and he's going to be forcing Dark to make units. Dark, he wants to drone right now. He wants a 3rd base. He wants to try and transition, but because of the medevac, he is forced to make 24 lings. That's a lot of lings. Here we go. Do you have a lock on Overlord? Is going to be going down. Third base is going to be denied. Dark, though, he's going to be using these things either defensively or offensively. He's rushing across the map. The wall is not a wall. 2 Hellions are on the way, which can help. But things are about to get real chaotic as Kira's main army is still pushing on forward. He's going to be able to pick off these Overlords. At the same time, the Lings get on in, but the boys have been pulled, and Kira is going to be able to defend, but not without losing some workers. Ooh, nice target firing. 1 Cyclone goes down. That's a lot of firepower now gone from this push, but boys are being pulled as well, and we can't afford to lose drones. Ugh. And here we go. Nice target firing. The medevac is going to go down. This will be cleaned up. Not before getting 3 drone kills, forcing a lot of Lings. And now we have to back off and take stock at what's been going on. Kira, after all said and done, is ahead economically. He's ahead in the workers. He's ahead in the base count. Dark is still on 2 base economy. Still doesn't even have a 3rd base on the way. And he's going for a lair. A common transition from this point is 2 base muta. Is getting your gases and going into a Spire just for map control, just to try and deal some counter damage and keep the Terran back at home. So I'm going to assume that that's what Dark wants to go into. Before that happens though, we have this Banshee. We still have Kira poking and prodding whenever we can. And looking at the vision, Kira did see the lair. As a Ling run by actually catches him off guard, and yeah, this is a great way for Dark to get back into this economically. He's able to pick up a couple more of these SCVs. No additional gases though. Without additional gases, looks like it's not going to be a lair. We do have Overlord speed on the way instead. So he's going to be committing here, staying on roaches. Oh boy. Until that time though, Kira has the map control. He's moving out with his Hellions. We actually don't really have too many Lings to speak of, so yeah, our last Dark is going to have a hard time saturating this 3rd. Kira doesn't know where it is, so he checks the triangular 3rd, guesses incorrectly as the hatchery is over here on the left-hand side. Oh my god. As he tests the waters, dips in, but the wall is very solid. Kira's forced back for the time being, and Dark is slowly saturating and droning this 3rd. Again, things are still looking quite dire for Dark. He's going to be hitting a 1-1 timings momentarily with his roaches. Until that happens though, Kira's doing a great job at just cleaning up and denying a lot of this creep. And I'm just waiting to see at what point Dark cuts drones. That's the thing, right? He's saturating his 3rd, he's taking his gases, he should be getting his 4th soon as well. Is he going to try and defend and go into a macro game, or is he going to go all in with this 1-1 timing? That's what I'm most curious about here. Like, roach pushes can be really devastating, especially if they catch the Terran player just focus on a lot more of a macro game instead. If they're in the middle of trying to throw down the 4th base and taking up, working on 2-2, then Dark can find an opening. Speaking of an opening, Kira doesn't find one here at the 3rd base. He goes in with his double Banshee though, and drones are going down. 3 get picked off. Oh, 4. Can we get 5? Looks like the Banshees are forced back. He wants a little bit more. He has to be careful to overextend, as he does dance here with these queens. Ooh, and he will be losing his Banshees, at least one of them. He flies too close to the sun. 4th base is thrown down, as well as an infestation pit, and the infestation pit is the big tell for us. It is the big tell that Dark wants to go for a longer game. Wants to get into either infestors or a hive. So he's going to be the defender here, going to be trying to recover. And Kira is going to be looking to just extend his lead. He's out here with his drop. He's got stim, he's got combat shields, he's got +1. He can't really fight the roaches, so he's got to be careful. But he's got a very flexible army, and he can kind of force Dark to play to his music as he drops into the main. At least threatens to drop into the main. And I was curious if we were going to go into Hive, but there we go. Pathogen Glands is being researched. That is, of course, the Infestor upgrade. So Infestors start with more energy. Roach Ravager Ling Infestor is it is an answer to Bio. Like, it is, you know, Infestors do provide splash damage that this army would otherwise lack. It's not as nowhere near as good as, say, Banelings, but you know, it's a great supplement here, especially to allow Biles to connect from the Roach Ravager. But Kira is pushing in. Kira doesn't care. He's not going to be giving Dark time and letting him wait for his Infestors. The push is rolling on in. Biles do connect, but the tank survives. And this base is going to be going down. We do see Dark trying to engage here, but there are so many Marines. Jesus Christ. 61 men with gun. They get on top of the third. They're going to keep on pushing. There's a fourth base behind this. By no means is Cure all in. His macro has just been impeccable as he just stims on forward. He's going to be fighting outside of the support range of his tanks, but I don't think he really cares. He's trading so well anyway. Meanwhile, he's going to be falling back here to these tanks. The tanks are looking quite exposed. Oh, one tank is going to be going down. The fungal connects as well, but the tanks are still doing so much damage to this army. Ooh. And here come the reinforcements, and the reinforcements are going to be the nail in the coffin. There's just too much Terran. Another tank is going to go down, but we have the Unsiege. Kieran knows that he can just keep on pushing. The fungals were good, but we only had 2 fungals. That is all we had to work with. The boys are being pulled. Ugh. And with the reinforcements, Dark is going to be able to force this back, but even if he does, he has lost so much. Yeah, Cure goes for a scan. He's like, yo, do you have a fourth? Nah. That's good. Cure, I imagine, feeling pretty good about the fact that Dark is stuck on 3 bases. He's down to 60 drones. Dark has 2-2, and he's making Infestors. But again, it's going to take a while here to recover what we have lost. And Cure is not stopping on the aggression. I love it. He's setting out a double drop towards the left-hand side to deny a 4th base if it's on the way. Another drop on the right to do the same. As Cure gets fully saturated on 4 bases, he has to be careful not to be overly greedy, but for the most part, he is, again, focusing on his production. He's getting 3 more Raxes up and running, 8 Raxes in total. And that 4th base is immediately cancelled. Likewise, Dark is just being pulled apart between all of his bases. The Roach is having a hard time keeping up. And I think the only world where Dark can come back in this game is if he lands a fungal. If he somehow lands a fungal and like biles down 2 full medevacs, like that's gonna be crazy. That's definitely gonna be a way for him to start a comeback. But if that doesn't happen, well, Cure is about to max out. He's pushing out across the map, and it is go time here for our Terran player once again. Tanks slowly leapfrogging forward. They're going to be able to get the siege up and running. Another cancel on the 4th base. A couple of Ravagers being taken down as well. Meanwhile, at the same time, we still have that double drop on the left-hand side, and it is going in. This has been spotted by Dark. He peels off a couple of Roaches to deal with it. We do see Dark coming in from multiple angles, and tanks are unsieged. Best case scenario, Fungal does connect, but it's not going to be enough anyway. GG gets called, and Cure takes game number 1. Oof. GG. A very powerful start for Cure, just responding so well to the initial opener. GG. The opener, of course, being pull first into a Roach push. Cure was very smart to not go for an economic opener. He didn't go for that 3rd CC, that fast 3rd CC, and he went for that medevac. And that follow-up medevac push after he shut down the Roach Ravager was so crucial there for him to get a really nice lead and for him to snowball from that point and be able to just make sure Dark's life was a living hell with how active Cure was being. So GG, very nicely done. Very nicely done. We're going to be continuing this series. Oh, and it looks like maybe the... Yeah. It looks like Oliveira versus Gumiho is still ongoing. I'm just getting a couple of updates that they are still in the middle of their series. So good. Oh, no, sorry. Oh. The upper semifinals has begun, and it is going to be Hero going up against, I think, Oliveira. Gumiho bowing out. Wow, that's if that's the case, that's impressive. I don't have full confirmation, but looking at the other lobby that is beginning, it looks like Oliveira, the world champion, is gonna be having his rematch against Hero. Let's go. Let's go, Papi, as we are going to be continuing the series and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gresvan. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Team Abydos and currently leading this series. It is Cure. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gresvan, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Kaizi Gaming. It is Dark. Let's go. And again, game one was just unfortunate because of Dark's opener. You know, Dark, his pull first and his Roach follow-up, it wasn't worth it. It didn't pay off. Cure read him like a book and responded so well to Dark's build. If you are maybe a Terran player out there, and if maybe you struggle against like these kind of early game aggressive Zerg players, then watching Cure's defense there is what you want to be doing. Learning from game one from Cure is the way to go, and Dark is going to be respecting Cure, and this time he goes for a hatch gas pool. This time he goes for a standard opener. Oh. And now I wonder, I was talking earlier about how when Dark goes hatch first against Cure, it's usually to punish the lack of an SCV scout. And Cure often doesn't SCV scout, but here we see, once again, game 2, he is moving out with that SCV. He is being safe against Dark. Safe and sound. And it makes a lot of sense, like, especially if Cure is maybe greedy against players like Solar or players like Dongray Gu. Dark is a player that you wanna be safe against him. Like, I think it's sometimes unwise to open up economically against Dark just because of his proclivity to aggression. He's a scary player to play against. Very scary. As we are getting into this, so far this SCV scout is going to be a little bit annoying. It's going to be forcing the third base to be taken here linearly. The Reaper is on the way. Can Cure get here in time? Oh! Ooh. It looks like he cannot. Third base is thrown down. And now we see a little bit of a dance here. And as we get our dance, I want to give a massive shout out to Shu Yi in the chat. Thank you so much for the raid. We really do appreciate it. Hope you had a great stream, a great ladder session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. For those that are tuning in, this is ESL Open Cup Asia. We are in the semifinals. Cure is leading this series, and the winner of this series moves on to the grand finals. If you want to tune into the upper semis, that is being covered by Chicken Man. Chicken Man is casting Hero versus Oliveira, a TVP. Again, spread the love, spread the news, spread that support. Oh. Until then, we do see Cure once again opening up with, actually this time switching things up, going for a 3CC before starport. Much more economic, and it makes a lot of sense here, especially after game number 1. The likelihood of Dark being as aggressive as he was in game 1 and for it failing, Cure should be feeling the freedom to, again, be a little bit more economic focused here in game 2. Just makes sense the way that he has played out this series overall. And we should be seeing that 3CC Banshee opener. There we go. The Banshee is on the way. And dinner time, all good. And we'll see what Kira can get done here. Cloak is on the way behind this as well. Again, very safe. And I do think that it is wise to go for these kind of openers, especially Banshee-oriented openers against Dark, because Dark is very fond of his Roach. As I say that, there it is. Roach Warren has been thrown down. It is Dark's bread and butter. I think we mentioned this quite often, but I feel like Dark's unit of choice in this matchup is the Roach. Not saying he can't go like Lingbane Meta or anything like that, or he does from time to time go Lingbane into Ultra, for example, into Hive. But outside of those rare instances, Dark usually does kind of prefer these Roach-based compositions in this matchup. Very unique to Dark, very unique. More so than some of the other Zerg players out there, especially the other South Korean Zerg players like your Solars, DRGs, Ragnaroks, Armanis. Oh. Until that point though, again, we just see Cure just with a standard opener. He didn't invest too heavily into his Hellions, just 6 Hellions all up, 4 across the map, 2 back at home, just applying a little bit of pressure here and just making sure that he's safe and sound to macro and make sure that Dark isn't, you know, cutting drones at any point or avoiding a 4th base. Quickly checking the vision here. I don't believe the Roach Warren has been spotted yet. He hasn't gone that deep into creep. It is a risky thing to do just because there are so many active lings. So Cure is, you know, lacking a little bit of information, but only a little bit. I don't think it's that crucial, to be honest. And he should be getting some of that information now, as we do have the Banshees slipping into the main, 2 of them, Cloak already being activated, not just to deal some economic damage, but also to scout, to get an eye on the timing of the lair, to maybe get an eye on some of that tech as well. Ooh, as the Queens are getting caught out, we do have energy for 1 transfuse. Dark barely keeping his Queens alive. At the same time, the rest of his Queens are meeting up here with the Hellions, forcing them back. The lair has been spotted just as it finishes. Well, it's the 4th. And if we edge a little bit closer, there we go. The Banshees do now have eyes on the Roach Warren as well. Shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but yes, Dark is going for Roaches. What's interesting is that he's not going for +1 range, actually. He's going for +1 melee. So he's going for a more Ling Bane Roach Ravager setup. Again, it's a very safe way to play. With your Ravagers, it is especially good against siege units because you're going to be morphing all your Roaches into Ravagers. They become a very supportive unit against tanks, against Widowmines, even Liberators. Oh. Just a little bit more gas intensive as compositions go, compared to just pure Lingbane. Oh. Until that point, you know, we have our 5 racks set up. We're not going all in on 8 Raxes or anything like that. The gases are being taken as well, which means Kira is going for a longer game. We should be seeing a 4th base thrown down momentarily. He's just going for a push here, but it's not the most committed of timings. 1-1 is on the horizon and should be hitting by the time he does lay siege upon this 4th. Or 3rd, depending on where Kira does go. Again, the creep not really spread too heavily here at our 4th base. Dark more focusing here towards the south instead, and that is going to allow Kira to have a bit of an opening. Here we go, the Hellbats are being morphed in. As Kira actually rotates towards the south, going to be cleaning up a lot of this creep. Nope. The other important thing to take note of is that I don't really think Dark can collapse on this army, especially because Baling Speed is still on the way. Because of his prioritization of Roaches, it does mean that his Baling Speed is delayed. As a result, dealing with this bio-based army is going to be a little bit harder here. He has to buy time for that upgrade to finish. His Banshees are peeled off just to clean up some more of this creep. The main army, not really committing here, just kind of poking and prodding on the edges, just containing Dark. Again, because we didn't have any additional Raxes thrown down, it's not like there's any big pressure on Cure to keep pushing. And he's expanding behind it. He doesn't want to force an engagement if he doesn't need to. Meanwhile, Dark was able to sneak out a pretty fast infestation pit, and we see why. We have our Hive, we have Vipers. Dark is going to have a very high quality army here. Lingbane, Roach, Ravager, Viper. But the Vipers are going to need a little bit of time. Meanwhile, the tanks do end up sieging. Dark just rushing off of creep here into this tank fire. Ooh. Bit of an overextension. Cure was already sieged. We do see him bleeding out a couple of bio units, but he does keep his tanks alive. Cure just Dark's just looking for that army, re-solidifying his position here, double expanding as we speak, taking his 5th and 6th. As Dark is just, as Cure is just poking, trying to bait out a fight. As reinforcements arrive, another tank is going to be sieging here. Dark's getting set up for a surround. Here come the Vipers for those blinding clouds. Up, up, up. And now we have the full surround. There is no way out. Cure Dark just was waiting for that moment, and he collapses on everything. Ay, ay, ay. Cure didn't see the army coming. He didn't know that Dark had rushed out a hive. The Vipers were already in play. And upon cleaning up that army, now Dark is free to spread all that creep, remax, rebuild. The Vipers survive. They're going to be able to regather that energy, and Cure just completely gives up map control. In the blink of an eye, things are swinging in Dark's favor. Ghost Academy is being thrown down now as a response. Unfortunately, again, because Cure was working with a little bit of misinformation, there's just no way for him to regain map control right now. He's just stuck at home. You can argue that he can maybe abuse the fact that Dark doesn't really have a lot of anti-air. Again, no Spire, no Hydrogen. Very limited energy here for parasitic bombs. So we can go for some drop play, but before that happens, Dark has remaxed, and he's going to be laying siege upon this third. A couple of blinding clouds covering these tanks. The Banelings are rolling on forward as well. And Dark just has an overwhelming amount of Zerg. Dark is going to be forced back, but you know what? He killed 3 to 4 tanks. And that means that his next push is going to be that much more difficult to hold. Cure has some momentum. He's going for a counterattack. Oh, Cure's actually pretty heavily supply blocked as well. Ay, ay, ay. But he is pushing. He knows that there's a window here before too many more Banelings morph in, but he goes for the scan. He doesn't like his chances. He backs off. Ah. Don't like this, Poppy. You don't like this. And now I feel like this is a really risky position to be in here for Cure. Here we go. Dark coming in again, rolling in, this time from only a single angle, but we only need one angle made. There's just not enough bio, not enough tanks. 2 more tanks go down. Cure though, continuing to push. He actually catches a couple of queens. Maybe a mistake for Dark not to come in from those 2 angles like he did previously. Cure with some momentum. Is remaxing, rebuilding here with his Liberators. We have Ultras on the way for Dark. He needs more time though to rebuild. Cure already remaxed. That push at his triangular third actually didn't really deal any economic damage, so Cure's macro has not really been slowed down. Oh boy, the momentum is swinging in his favor. 3-3 still on the horizon for Dark. Ultras take a long time to pop out. Despite the supply advantage though, I do think that it would be unwise for for Cure to push too deep into creep. I'm still waking up. Okay. Yeah, and the longer that Cure waits, and he kind of has to, the more Ultras we're getting. We haven't rebuilt the Vipers, which I think is maybe a bit of a mistake. Vipers were a major part as to how Dark was able to take some of these fights. Without them, pushing into these tanks is going to be a difficult ask, but here we go. Dark is going in again. We'll see if he can break on through. He's getting on top of these tanks, but there are just still so many more tanks behind this. The Liberator putting in so much work as well. Dark not taking the best fight. A bit of an anti-timing, still waiting on 3-3. And the Ultras are melting. Again, maybe an attack that we didn't really need here. And now, Dark, he's just bleeding out so much. He's going in once again. He's trying to get on top of these tanks. Oof. But we're losing more Ultras, Papi. Yeah, every single ultra goes down. Yo, Dark desperately trying to force Kira back, but again, I feel like these fights are a little bit unnecessary. Like, I understand that he doesn't want Kira to have too much momentum, but we're not really fighting over anything. We're not really threatening any of these bases at the moment. Dark is expanding towards the north. He could potentially give up one of these hatcheries. Now 3-3 finally does kick in. God, is it going to be enough? The Bailey's roll on 4. They do find some connections, but the ghosts have arrived. Ultras do come in from behind. We just don't have that much for the Zerg. Oh. Dark finally breaks 3. Oh. I'm afraid to look. How many ultras have we lost this game? 7. Oh. 7 ultras. But we keep on going. We keep on making them. We've broken the contain. Kira backs off. But the most worrisome thing is that this entire time, Kira's economy has been looking on point. He's taking another base. He hasn't really lost many SCVs. I'm afraid to look. We've lost 1 SCV this game. 1 worker has died. That's the most devastating thing here. That's why Kira's macro has been so insane. That's why his pushes have been so suffocating for Dark. Because Dark just hasn't been able to touch the economy here of Kira. He just keeps on pushing, keeps on going. Finally, Dark has a little bit of breathing room and is going to be able to refine his army. Once again, though, not going into Vipers. He's actually trying to get into Infestors instead. I mean, they do complement Ultras, to be fair. They're a great way to lock down these ghosts. Oh. Here we go. The game will progress. We'll go on. Dark coming in from 2 angles here, trying to find some damage. The Bailey is going to be rolling on forward as well, but the ghosts are not too far behind. Oh, this army is going to get cleaned up, not without taking down this mineral line. Oh my god, not just 1, but 2 mineral lines go down. Kira is being pulled apart. Finally, that economy that we were talking about is going to be, it's going to take a hit. 31 SCVs going down. Oof. Was that worth it though? I think so. Oh, I think so. With this, oh my god, the planetary also went down as well. So Kira loses a base, loses 2 mineral lines. This is what Dark needed. Somehow, some way, he finds a way, Papi. He finds a way. Kira still has a pretty terrifying army. That's the biggest issue though. Like, he has a lot of pushing power. He has almost a super maxed army where he has an army supply lead over his opponent. But Dark, I think he knows that. He doesn't want to fight the army. He's like, mate, you can push all you want. I'm just going to go for your bases. I'm done with that, man. Here we go, as Lings are going to be hitting the fringe bases of Kira. Bailey's roll in once again. Oh my god. Another mineral line goes down. The base itself will be saved. But Dark forces Kira to turn around. And again, this is just giving Dark more time to remax, to rebuild. We have a Doom drop into the main base, 4 Overlords into the main, catching these reinforcements, getting on top of the production. And this is forcing Kira's hand. To be fair, he's trading quite well, but he's running out of medevacs. His army is getting overstimmed. He is running out of steam. We can see the attention of Kira being pulled apart, leaving some tanks and liberators here in the middle of the map. Oh. Dark, he wants it, Poppy. He wants it. Do we have the neural? Up! Oh, neural, no, it just starts! No, Dark, he was gonna go for the neural and the EMP. Regardless, he lands with the fungals, gets the entire bio army. The ghosts do survive, but I can't say the same for the Marines and the Marauders. Ugh. Dark's signature move is neuraling a ghost and EMPing the rest of the ghosts, and that's what he was going for. Alas, just forgot an upgrade. Maybe we'll see it again later. The economy of Kira in shambles. We're down to 50 workers. We're not even mining here from towards the north. Lings go for another run by it. We still have Lings in the main as well, surprisingly enough. And Kira is pretty all in here with this push. He's pretty committed. Lings just flooding on into the natural as well, picking off even some tanks. Now, even though everything's on fire, and everything is on fire, Cure's oh god, Cure still has a massive army. Like, he can still make some magic happen. He can still take one efficient fight, one fight to win it all. It is still possible for Cure. Unlikely, but possible. A lot of it's going to depend on whether he can catch wind of these infestors before they're able to get any of their spells off. Whether it's the fungal, or, oh my god, or the MP. Ooh, nice scan. Infestor was trying to be a little bit cheeky, sneaking behind enemy lines. Does go down. Oh, but there it is. We have one of the fungals. Dark, he's going to be diving on this army. Oh. Picks off a decent chunk. Again, Dark can take this slow. Slow and steady. Dark is the one that's maxed. Dark is the one with the economy. Couple of good trades here. There is all he needs. And there we go. Another fungal connects. And Cure, with his large army that he once had, is slowly being whittled away. And even though Cure is going to be getting this base, it doesn't matter that much, Bappy. Ay. Start getting ready for one massive engagement. Oh my god, that borrowed link. Ay. Cure just wants to mine, Puppy. Just wants to mine. Here we go. The infestors are coming in. We do neural a tank on the back line. Actually going to be able to take down the tank of Cure. And here we go. Dark is going to be pulling the trigger, and there's just not a lot to protect these tanks. Everything is going to be going down. The ghosts are doing what they can to snipe, but it's not going to be enough. We didn't even need the infestors, to be honest. Reinforcements don't get here in time. And we are going to have a longer series here. Cure looking dominant in game one, but here Dark, he turns the tables. Chases this army back all the way back home. Oh, ay. And Cure's gonna be able to barely hold on, scanning for another base. But Dark has the bank, Papi. He has it. Cure's doing the Terran thing right now. He's being fueled by copium, and copium is a powerful thing. It is. Don't get me wrong. It's a powerful fuel source, but you know, there's only so much it can do. Maybe I should say it looks like a powerful fuel source. You know, it's deceiving. Oh my god. As Cure's going to be holding on to this northern location, these three important mining bases. Finally, he can mine from his fresh base. Just muling as much as he can. The Dark is getting ready for another push. This time we only have 4 tanks remaining here for Cure, and they're kind of spread out between the bases. Oh. If Dark wanted to, he could even drop into the main. He's got options. Cure knows that at some point this game he had an advantage, he had a lead, and it was thrown away. Oh. Or he lost it, I should say. And hey, you know, he's slowly recovering, you know? And we're just gonna be chilling here for a little bit, waiting for Dark to remax. We have 30 lings on the way. We see a drop slipping in towards the main base as well. There's a tank in the main, but the tank is on its own, so these lings, they should be able to take control. As I say that, Liberators do pop out. Oh, you love to see it. And Dark, the nail of the coffin is gonna be the Broodlord switch. Broodlord Infestor, Papi. It's what we're working towards. The late game composition here for Dark. Cure's also kind of getting ready for it. He's actually started Thor production. Oh my god, both players are looking to remax once again, but Dark gets here first. And is going to begin laying siege upon this army. How many ghosts do we have? We've got 7 ghosts. Let's go. We're looking for those snipes. We're looking for the fungals. Ugh. Dark just performing a delicate dance here against the Thor Ghost. He doesn't want to overextend with his Broodlords. He doesn't want to throw them away. He's picking up a couple of tanks here and there every time. The ghosts come in! Up! The fungal! Ooh, the fungal will connect on 4 of those ghosts. Ooh. They do get a couple of snipes off. 2 Broodlords do go down. And oh my god. Dark, he was thinking about it. And here we go. He's just going to dive on in. We have the neural, though. Liberators, they belong to us now, to the Zerg. And the Lynx coming from behind as well. There is no way out for those ghosts. Oh, just a couple of them barely get saved there. Hot pickup from Cure, just microing his heart out.
Complete.
Oof. And with those ghosts being saved, he's going to be able to clean up these Broodlords. Up, up, up. Oh my god, Liberators are actually too good. Jesus Christ. A brutal fight that Cure is barely going to be able to hold. And we're just going to do that again. As Dark is going to remax, looks like he's given up on his Broodlords. He's not making any of his Corruptors. He's going Link Bane, Ultra again. He's been able to keep his Infestors alive. Again, Dark is the player with the bank, with the economy. He's going to be able to rebuild. Cure is running on fumes here. He's going to be looking to take another base. And hey, if there's a world where he actually gets this base like saturated, then maybe he can rebuild his army and contend with Dark. But that's a big maybe. And Dark just remaxing up 70 supply. And I like this choice as well. You know, why try and break this like fortified position? Just you know, just go for the main. Just force your opponent out of position, force him to respond. As the Ultras are rolling on in, getting on top of these Thors. At the same time, the Lynx have broken, penetrated the natural, gotten into the main. And again, Dark just flexing his army supply, just pulling his opponent apart. It's a numbers game at this point. You know, Cure just doesn't have enough to defend multiple locations at once. Oh. And this will spell the end here for Cure. I mean, shout out to Cure though, he fought his heart out. He refused to leave. He refused to give up, is what I should be saying. And you can definitely appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Alas, though. There's only so much you can do. GG gets called, and Dark will be taking game number 2, forcing the ace match. GG. I see the chat catching up. I live on copium every single day. True, Papi, true. Terran copium is strong with this one. It's pretty strong. It's pretty powerful. I mean, hey, Cure was fighting really well. You know, despite the fact that he was down in supply, down in economy, like he was fighting his heart out. Trading as efficiently as possible. Here we go. We're going for the ace match. We're going for game number 3. We're going to find out how this story ends. Ay. All right. Vamonos, papi, vamonos. And I believe the upper semifinals is still ongoing. Again, if you want to tune into that, I believe both Enki and Chicken Man are covering Hero versus Oliveira. If you do want to tune into that. Until then, though, we have one final game here before we determine who makes it to the grand finals. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have our South Korean Terran representing Team Abydos. It is Cure. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg representing his new team, CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. Alright, so an interesting veto process. We don't see Neo Humanity too often in ZvT, I feel. In general, to be fair. we just don't see it too often. But this is what I love about the Korean scenes. They are not afraid to let some of these maps like Altitude or Neo Humanity through the veto process. They have no fear. And we'll see how this all kind of comes together. Of course, this map has a short rush distance, so it can kind of favor these early pushes. At the same time, we always bring this up, it's a very defensible map. There's a lot of rocks, there's a lot of choke points as well to take advantage of. It can be deceptive with how small it is, because of how defensible it is as well. So we'll see if we end up in a bit of a longer game. Once again though, Dark opening up with a hatch gas pool. He doesn't mess around with the pool first openers like we saw in game 1. We don't want it, Papi. We don't want it. Here we go. As the start of this game is going to be chill for the most part. And we'll see where the kind of divergences begin here. Both games, Dark has kind of relied on pretty roach-heavy compositions overall and roach-heavy styles. Of course, game 1 it was more of a rush. Game 2 he was just incorporating it into his army overall. I do think it would make a lot of sense here on Neo Humanity as well, especially on these early pushes, as Dark just goes for a hatch gas pool, is going to be going for his third base. Interestingly enough, Dark slips his drone through and he's actually going to be taking the linear third. Oh my god. Okay. This is not something you see too often here, but every now and then Dark does do this. Of course, he hasn't mined through the mineral patches yet. I'm just impressed that the drone was able to bypass not just the SCV but also the Reaper. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. Of course, this would be a much safer base to take, as opposed to the triangular third or even the forward third, which is a lot more exposed. Kira does rotate around with his Reaper, and he does confirm the timing of the hatchery. There's no two-base all-in going on. That's the other thing that we've seen as well. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, where Dark was playing against a Terran player, and he took this base, and the Terran didn't scout it. He just assumed that there was a two-base all-in coming his way, and he like overreacted, and he just over-prepared. So things like that can happen at times, but Cure, he's too good for that. He does check. Does confirm. As we do have a 3cc before starport setup. Again, very economic, very standard, very similar to the last game from Cure. Again, Cure was looking good that last game. It all came down to the fact that he didn't realize how much danger he was in, that Dark had managed to rush out a hive and rush out Vipers of all things. That Cure was in a much more vulnerable position that he was. Also, I misspoke. I mean, technically, it was a 3cc before starport, but this is a 3cc 2-1-1. Oh my god. Let's go, Papi. We've actually been seeing this a lot more often than I would like. 3cc 2-1-1. We saw this last night when we were casting Spirit as well. It's a very interesting opener. Of course, it's still economic because of the faster 3cc, but it does pack a bit of a less of a punch than a regular 2-1-1 just because of how delayed it is, just because it does hit a little bit later. Its push is a little bit softer as a result. As we see a scout of the main base, confirmation of the production and the marine count, so Dark can piece together this 2-1-1 setup. But yeah, I think both Asher and I, we were having a discussion last night about this, about how this is probably more of a stylistic setup, really. You know, if you want to have that map control with these Marines, if you want to be flexible and maneuverable with them, then it's like an alternate way of doing it. Just, you know, lacks in other aspects, as the double jump is going to be moving out across the map. Stim, as well as combat shield. Sorry, Stim, going to be done for this as well. And Dark's setup is pretty interesting. I'm a little bit concerned here. Looking at the units tab, we've got 5 Lings. 22 Lings are on the way though, and they will get here just in time. As a response to this though, Dark just going for double Evo Chambers, going for his Bailey Nest. +1 carapace isn't going to be ready for this though, and we have some really awkward SimCity. Oh, the Lings are trying to file on in. We have plenty of Queens though, and this should be enough to force this back. Oof. Oh my god, even snipes out one of those medevacs. Very nicely handled here by Dark. Lings came out just as he needed them, and now from here, this is the problem with the 2-1-1, is that you don't really have a lot of momentum. You don't have anything to work with, especially if your initial double drop falls on its face like it just did. Well, then what can Kira do? He doesn't have any Hellions. It takes a while for the next wave of medevacs to come out as well. Kira just doesn't really have much map presence at all, because he lost the drop, and now Dark can be as greedy as he wants. Of course, I wouldn't be saying this if Kira kept the drop alive. You know, he'd still be active with his double drop, right? And still be in his face, but because of how hard it was shut down, Dark has so much freedom. As he's getting fully saturated on these 4 bases, we should be seeing a 5th hatchery thrown down soon. He's working on double macro hatchery, actually. He's focusing on nothing but Ling Bane, delaying his gases. And from here, it looks like Dark is going to be going Ling Bane Ultra as the infestation bit is thrown down. And I do kind of like this. Ultras, you know, they can have a hard time fighting, especially off of creep, but because Neo-Humanity is so small, it does make a lot of sense. Like, you can kind of take advantage of this map. Oh. We can hit a pretty early timing. Meanwhile, the double drop here on the left-hand side does get forced back. And again, Cure just doesn't really have much to work with here because of the 2-1-1 as well. You know, it takes a while to really get the tank count up and running. But switching into Widowmine production, it looks like Cure has recognized that, again, his opponent is very Ling Bane heavy. And there is that Hive. Man, I'm telling you, give us the Ultras. It's a composition that that Dark did kind of popularize a couple of years ago, and he whips that out every now and then in a best of series. You love to see it. As we have to be careful with the mine shots. Oh. Nice split off there. Only connects with a handful of those Lings. Meanwhile, with 1-1 finishing, we should be getting 2-2. We can go straight into Adrenal Glands from here as well. Up. Much better mine connection there from Cure this time. Finally, he's getting a little bit more value here with his drops. Definitely will say. Cure also really excelling in his overall SCV count. He's going to be landing his 4th base, looking to Maynard on over. But again, I am really concerned here because Cure isn't really dealing any economic damage. He's not really slowing down Dark. And now that the Hive is done, I'm waiting for it. We've got 2-2. We should be getting Adrenal. Are we getting the Ultra Cavern? There's the Adrenal. Drop coming on in from the right-hand side. Again, just going to be keeping Dark busy. Oh. And Dark is maxed with pure Ling Bane. He's got a massive amount of Ling Bane here. Despite the fact that 2-2 is still on the way, he doesn't even care. He's not going to be waiting for it. He's going to be rolling on forward. Widowmine shots are going to be going off. Dragged, actually, by some of these Lings and Overseers. And Dark, he's just going to be able to break in towards the 3rd base. Doesn't have any Banelings left for that mineral line. Oh, so bit of an inefficient trade here. Yeah, he only gets 8 SCVs, and the Marine Army is going to be able to force this back. An odd choice for Dark. I guess he kind of trades well. He cleans up all those tanks. He does supply block Cure. And there is that Ultra Cavern that we were talking about. Just kind of an odd choice to move out before he had 2-2. I think it was just because he maxed out. He's like, yo, I got to do something with this army. Just how Dark thinks sometimes. It makes sense, and I guess he has the economy to replace what he just lost. You know, he's just looking to out-trade Cure. Not the most efficient trade, but a trade that Dark can afford. And now, Dark is on the defensive. There's just not that much left remaining here to really pose too much of a threat, though. The drop gets cleaned up. Dark still maintaining control of his side of the map. His economy still booming. Vipers are out. Pathogen glands on the way. And I imagine as soon as Dark maxes out, as soon as 2-2 kicks in, he's just going to go for another push. Why not? I'm hoping this push doesn't do too much because I want to see the ultras. As kindness plating is on the way. I want to see Dark trade out. With my shots. Ooh. A little bit of friendly fire there on those medivacs, and in come the parasitic bombs as well. Oof. Oh my god, as the full medevac goes down as well to the power bomb. At the same time, we have another drop here on the right hand side, but Dark has already split up his army. He does keep up with this. Gonna be able to remax once again with pure Ling Bane. We're still waiting for kindness plating. Show us the ultras, pal. And again, after the initial opener and after the push, Cure just hasn't really had too much momentum to speak of. His factory production or his factory units have just been reset time and time again. He can't really contend against the map control that Dark has. I mean, he's still being active with all these drops, but... Ugh. And then we get things like this. Oh, the power bombs once again taking down those medivacs. Lings flooding in here towards the center of the map. The planetary, where's the repair? The repair! Oh, the repair was not in time. We didn't even have any Banelings. Pure Lings take down the planetary, and there are just Lings all over the place right now. Chaos ensues. Cure is going to be able to hold on, but at what cost? As Dark has been in full control this entire game. These things will eventually be cleaned up, but finally we have the ultras on the way. The Vipers just regathering their energy. Kindness plating is done. Ultra speed as well. Oh. And yeah, Dark is just getting ready for his next push. Oh my god, the kill move as the fungal connects. The fungal and the power bomb. One one shot not looking too bad here, but again, Cure just hasn't really been able to have any momentum to be able to have any real threatening force at all. And there we go, the ultras reveal themselves. GG gets called. And Dark will take the series 2-1 in a pretty dominant game number 3. After the opener, after the initial 2-1-1 drop, like, Dark had almost nothing to worry about. He was doing such a great job at keeping up with the drop play of Cure. And just asserting himself on the map itself. Wow. GG. I can hear Asher in the background, in the ether, being like, again, this is what I don't understand, the 3cc 2-1-1. And I divert to Asher as more of the Terran expert on this side of things. Again, it feels like 3cc 2-1-1 is like is very middle of the road, you know. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, but I feel like it also isn't just right either. You know. GG, well played. Dark handling that opener and that build very well, and taking great advantage of the map. You know, droning up to 82 very quickly, taking up to Hive, just amassing Ling Bane and keeping Cure on the back foot until eventually he was able to refine his army even more with Vipers, with Infestors, with Ultras. And with that, Dark is going to be advancing on to the Grand Finals, and who is he going to be facing in those Grand Finals? That is the question. Again, Hero versus Oliveira was going on over on some of the other streams, and I don't really know the outcome of that.